To know how to deal with your anger, you first need to know what are your tendencies. Do you tend to express your anger and hurt the people around you, and then later feel guilty about your action? Or do you tend to suppress your anger, thinking it's not right to feel angry? I'm asking this because the way you deal with your anger can be very different depending on your tendency. In this video, I'm going to explain how you can let go of your anger, which is the middle ground between expression and suppression. First of all, don't be deceived by this friendly, bubbly face of mine. I actually have a very nasty temper and I learned how to deal with it. Maybe my colleagues and friends don't know about this because they were not with me for a long period of time, but my family members definitely have experienced my short anger outbursts. I call it a dormant volcano because it happens only once in every few years. My anger outbursts only last for less than a minute, but it surprises people around me because I'm usually even-tempered. So how do I control my anger? And if you're someone who tends to have a frequent anger outburst, what can you do? First, you need to have awareness. You need to know the quality of anger, how it feels in your body, and know when it arrives. One of the best ways is to name it. So basically, I have two types of anger. One is more like rage. I call it like Mr. Incredible Hulk. Mr. Incredible Hulk doesn't come unless I feel provoked or when I push to a corner. This is like a full anger outburst. I'll shout, scream, slam the table. Mr. Incredible Hulk is not someone you want to be around, but it doesn't come out very often. Like what I say, it only comes out like once in a very few years. Then there is this anger, which I call the inner child who throws the tantrum. After I wrote my book, Parent Yourself Again, I feel more in touch with my inner child. I notice I have another type of anger, which is more childish. It storms on the ground when it doesn't get what it wants. So having such distinction of anger is great. Before I even get to an anger outburst, I can feel it in my body that, hey, Mr. Incredible Hulk is coming out. I have to get myself out of the situation or whatever triggers or environment that's pushing my button as quickly as possible. If not, I might harm someone or say something that I might later regret. However, if today I notice that it's my inner child who comes out, I know it's quite harmless. I'll just go to a quiet place, let it throw some tantrums, storm on the ground for a while, and give it some attention and then soothe my body. The anger can be let go of very quickly. You want to be familiar with your bodily sensation so that you can respond to your emotion instead of reacting from your emotion or out of impulse. So when you feel angry, right, you could feel that inside is boiling. You might feel that there's a shot of energy coming to your head region. So all this body sensation, right, if you pay attention to your body long enough, you will know when the emotion comes. You can only choose your reaction when you are aware that the emotion comes. Another reason why it's so important to name your anger is to know that anger isn't you. If you watch some like crime documentary, the convict says he had no idea why he hurt someone, why he did what he did. I could understand where they're coming from because I have the same experience. When I was young, like 8 to 11 or 12, I don't remember, I strangled my younger brother twice. If you ask me now why I strangled him, I couldn't tell you the reason, I don't know. It could be because I was bullied at school and I froze, so when I was like provoked again at home, this persona, Mr. Incredible Hulk, was formed. It came out and protect me. But luckily for me, my awareness kicks in as I was strangling him. I regained my consciousness. I know that if I went any further, I'm going to kill him. And so I snapped back to my real self. This deep consciousness is me. Mr. Incredible Hulk isn't me. It's not how I behave most of the time. You must understand that when you feel angry and you don't disengage it quick enough, the emotion will rise to your mind and you keep repeating the angry thoughts in your mind, and that makes you even angrier. And once you lose your head space, that's it. You're consumed by your emotion, your mind is being hijacked by your emotion, and you do things that you don't normally do. But that's not to say you can just hurt the people around you. You still have to be responsible for action, and if you hurt someone, you have to apologize to them. what this distinction allows you is to not feel like a bad person. I know sometimes when we're angry and we act impulsively and then we regain our consciousness, we realize what we did. We feel a sense of guilt. We blame ourselves for hurting other people. It's not helpful when you condemn yourself for something you have no awareness of. This doesn't help you to change. Feeling guilty and ashamed does not help you deal with your anger. You end up suppressing your anger because you think that it's not good to feel angry, but the anger might come out even stronger later on because the more you push it down, the more it wants to come out. There's nothing wrong with feeling angry, but what you want to do is to feel the emotion in your body and allow it to move out of the system. This is what I call letting go. You don't want it to reach your mind where it keeps repeating the angry thoughts and build the momentum of anger. This is a vicious cycle, right? The thoughts that you think create more emotions, and when you're feeling angry, you attract more angry thoughts. So this cycle doesn't stop unless you can disengage your angry thoughts and prevent it from producing more anger in your body. Now, for people who have a tendency to suppress your anger, you're more like me. You most likely have a belief that being angry is bad, whether it's conscious to you or it's just your subconscious belief. Like for me, because I saw the impact of my rage when I strangled my younger brother, I learned to suppress my anger in an unhealthy way. Early in my life, I'm afraid that feeling angry will turn me into this violent person. I'm so scared that Mr. Incredible Hulk will come out and I have no control over him. So I suppress my anger unconsciously. But what happened is this blocks my throat chakra. I can't express my needs and I allow others to take advantage of me and overstep my boundaries. Some of us were told or taught that anger is not good. Don't express it. But what I realized is that anger isn't bad. None of the emotions are bad. It's how you express it, how you respond to your emotion that makes a difference. You can feel angry without hurting anyone or displaying violence. The emotion, anger, is not the same as your reaction to the anger. If you're someone who finds it difficult to feel anger, it's time to start changing your belief about anger. Anger helps you to protect yourself when someone oversteps a boundary. It's there for protection purposes. When someone bullies me when I was young, I froze. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. I just let my classmates snatch my homework away. When you cannot feel anger or any specific emotion, your emotional guiding system is blocked. It's like you have a thermometer that doesn't work. It doesn't tell you what the temperature is right now. It doesn't give you an accurate reading of the temperature. Or you have a car that doesn't tell you how much gas is left in the tank. The emotional anger is like an alarm bell that tells you that one of your boundaries has been crossed and you want it to be working. Without it, you might be like me, unable to tell what my boundaries are. And when you don't know what your boundaries are, you can't communicate clearly with other people what your boundaries are. Not knowing what your boundaries are, people might unintentionally step on your boundaries. And when you flare out like me, people will be surprised about your reaction and you will hurt your relationships. But if you understand your boundaries, you communicate clearly with others and they also understand your boundaries too, then you have done your part. If they still cross your boundary and you flare out, then they only have themselves to blame. Anger also tells you that you feel threatened by certain triggers and you're responsible to figure out what it is and determine if the trigger is still valid or not. Sometimes we might feel angry about something that was traumatic to us as a kid. As an adult, you want to see if it's still applicable to you or is there another way to respond to the trigger. Like in my case, my inner child throws tantrum when he doesn't get the attention or approval he wants from the people he loves. I know this because I felt emotionally neglected as a child. As an adult, this isn't valid to me anymore. I can give myself the attention and approval I need. It still feels great when someone gives me their love and attention, but I don't need it from another person to survive. I also know I can't control another person's action. However, even though it doesn't apply to me now, that doesn't mean that I suppress my anger and not allow my inner child to throw tantrums. Instead, I hold space for my inner child to express its grief and anger for the love that he doesn't get as a kid. And I feel compassion towards him and love the part that is feeling unloved. Also, when you are suppressing your anger for a long time, you are stuck in depression, shame, and guilt, the lower vibration that is below anger. Anger does help you to move out of this emotional state. Example, in my book, The Emotional Gift, I talk about how I punch the pillow and scream and let all my emotion and anger out of the system. This is a way for you to express your anger if you are feeling depressed or you have been suppressing your anger for a long time. However, I do want to stress that this way of dealing with anger is not a long-term solution. It's great when you have an issue that you have not resolved for a long time. Maybe you were abused as a kid or you have a lot of stuck emotion. This will help you to get the emotion out quickly, but you don't want to do this too many times. You only want to do it once to get your channel and your system open up. If you feel to open up to this emotion, maybe you can do it a second time, but don't do it a lot because you end up practicing anger instead of processing and letting go of anger. Expressing anger is not the same as feeling the anger in your body and letting it go. When you express your anger, your focus is on getting it out. Your focus is on the external world. Feeling the anger in your body is more internal. It's about really feeling all the discomfort in your body without holding it back, without resisting it. Expressing anger can also have a negative impact on the external world. It can create a cycle of negative loop. Someone who is at your receiving end of your anger gets the impression of your anger. They might feel hurt and express the hurt feelings to other people in their lives. So if you want to express anger, do it in a safe environment that doesn't hurt anyone in the process. I know sometimes people are willing to be a punching bag, but I feel that hitting a pillow is better than hitting a person that has flesh and bones, and especially people who are highly sensitive people, HSP, and empath like me. It doesn't feel good to hurt anyone. Like for my experience, whenever I have an anger outburst, the anger outburst lasts for about less than a minute, only like maybe 10 seconds, but I end up crying for 2 hours because I feel the person receiving my anger is emotionally draining. The best is you can allow the anger to come out without needing to express it outwardly or acting it out. And this takes a lot of practice. It means you need to have enough openness for the emotion to bubble up, but at the same time you have enough mindfulness to not let the emotion consume you and control your action. You need stillness to hold the space for emotion to move through, but you also need allowing for the emotion to come to the surface. So you need a good balance of both the masculine energy and the feminine energy. If you are a suppressor of your anger, you also want constant check-in of your emotion to make sure you know when you're feeling angry. For me, I have to regularly ask myself, am I feeling angry? And have an honest assessment with myself to know whether my boundaries are crossed or whether I'm blocking my anger. So to summarize, both the expressor and the suppressor of anger needs awareness. If you tend to express your anger and hurt the people around you, you want to be aware of the bodily sensation when you feel angry and notice it before it reaches your mind and control your action. If you tend to suppress your anger, you want to have consistent check-in with yourself and be aware if you're blocking your anger. You also want to be aware of any beliefs that are preventing you from feeling angry. And the middle ground of these two is letting go. Instead of suppression, you can allow the anger to come to the surface, and instead of expressing it, you can let the anger move through your body by focusing on the body without contributing more angry thoughts and adding fuel to the fire. My channel and books are all about helping people reach a state of peacefulness and joy. If you have any topics you need help on, you can write a comment in the video below. Or you can subscribe to this channel for more insight on mindfulness and dealing with your emotions.